playoffs. The NBA season's almost here, so I might as well make an NBA playoff prediction video with the playoff bracket. Could this be our year? Maybe. We'll see. Anyway, let's start with the Eastern Conference, because I feel like the Eastern Conference is right now more simple to do than the Western Conference. So at the number 1 seed, I have the Milwaukee Bucks. They still have Giannis. They almost kept everybody but Nikola Mirotic, as I can remember, which I was stunned that he left. But really, Milwaukee, still a very good team. I still believe they're the team to beat in the East right now. Number 2, I have the Philadelphia 76ers. I feel like adding Al Horford for the 76ers helps them with their defense big time. And I only think the only way I could put the Sixers at number 1 is if Ben Simmons shoots a 3. Okay, moving on. Number 3. On the number 3 spot, I really had to think about this. I really had to. So I sticked with the Boston Celtics at the number 3 spot. Now, besides the Celtics were a disappointment last season, but the Celtics did add a better, well, I'm not saying Kemba Walker's better overall, but I think Kemba will at least have a little bit respect for the organization than what Kyrie had the respect for. I mean, like Kyrie, I don't think any of the players respected Kyrie. He was not a true leader. It was mostly his fault. With also adding Enes Kanter, I think the Celtics will be an offensive juggernaut. But defensively, losing Morris and losing Horford, I think the Celtics defense will not be that great. But at least their offense, I think, will get better. At number 4, I have the Indiana Pacers. I think the Pacers, to me, would be a good team this year. And last year, before Victor Oladipo went down, the Pacers were the number 3 seed. And when he went down, they became a number 5, even though they still made the playoffs. But imagine if they had Victor Oladipo still. I think the team could have been a top 3 team with Victor Oladipo. And with the moves they've been making, I personally think they've been good. Now, who do I think they'll go against? I think the Brooklyn Nets will be the number 5 seed. Now, Kevin Durant does not come back this season. So, I think even though there won't be a Kevin Durant, I still think the Nets, with DeAndre Jordan and Kyrie Irving, they're still going to be a good team. At least a top 5, in my opinion. And really, even though, like I said, there's no Durant. I mean, if there was a Durant, KD and the Nets would just win the East. They would be the number 1 seed. But because of him being gone, they're still top 5, but still, without Kevin Durant, they're just a 5 seed. Now, number 6. Oh, God, this is where everything I think gets complicated. And the number 6 seed, I have the Orlando Magic. I think the Magic take a little bit of a step up. I think the Magic, what they did last season, I don't think anybody expected them. This team was supposed to be in last place in the East. They somehow make the playoffs. I think the Magic are going to be at least decent. Do I have them win the division? Yeah, clearly. And sorry, I was catching my breath. And at number 7, I have the Toronto Raptors. I know, even though the Raptors still have some of the guys, but not Kawhi, to me, the Raptors are still talented enough to make the playoffs. But the problem is, they're not going to be as dominant like they were a year ago. Or a season ago, I mean. The Raptors, I think, will barely make the play. I think the Raptors, these last 2 seeds with Toronto, I could see having a losing record but make the playoffs. But still, what the Raptors have still, they're still a good team with much talent, but they're not going to be as dominant like they were with Kawhi. And the number 8 seed. That 8th seed, I have so much things in my mind. Miami, if they trade for Chris Paul, the Detroit Pistons, the Wizards, but the Wizards always become a disappointment. But I think the the Detroit Pistons make it back to the playoffs as an 8 seed. with the addition of Derrick Rose, I mean, that helps him a little bit, but he has to stay healthy. Because to me, and I'm going to be honest with you, I would not be surprised if Blake Griffin gets traded or Andre Drummond. I would not be surprised if either one of those guys gets traded during the season. Who I think would have to most likely go? Probably Drummond. I think they would do that. That's just my opinion. So that was the East. Now here's the West. And I'm going to be honest with you. Out of all Western Conference playoff predictions, even before doing YouTube, this is probably the hardest one I ever had to think about. It really is that difficult, especially when there's so many good teams. Like, majority of the teams in the West are playoff teams. Except Phoenix. Sorry, Phoenix. But overall, these teams, this was so difficult to make. This was such difficult choices and all that. But let's get started. The number one seed, to me, hands down, the Los Angeles Clippers. The Clippers, pretty simple. Better management, better coach, good players, and somehow Kawhi not being number one, which I was pretty shocked. I thought Kawhi would have been the number one player in the world, but I guess not. Adding Paul George, still having a great bench. The Clippers, to me, and also having a good defense. I think they'll have a great defense with three great defenders. And Patrick Beverley, Kawhi Leonard, and Paul George. But the Clippers, to me, are the most completed team right now in the NBA. More completed than the Lakers. Now, if you want to make a debate who will win the Heart of LA this season, it's kind of mixed, but to me the Clippers are the number one seed. Number two seed, Denver Nuggets. I actually put Denver in there because of this reason. The Nuggets, even though they didn't make any changes, they still had the same exact roster from last season. The team only had 6 home losses? 6 out of 41 were losses. So they were 35-6 at home. Jokic, what he did last season, phenomenal. The guy is a center, as a point guard at center. That's basically what he is. He's a point guard at center. The guy knows how to shoot. He can play defense. And the team all around is so young, but it is talented to at least get that far. And I would not be surprised if they do have the best home court, again, in the end of the season, the best home court record. Number 3, Los Angeles Lakers. LeBron and AD. But if one of them goes down, I think the Lakers are still screwed. But there's some questions I have for the Lakers, though. I can't remember their head coach's name anymore, but I remember his background. Yes, he coached the Indiana Pacers with Paul George. But then when he goes to the Magic, he does terrible. And once he got fired, the Magic became a playoff team. Then adding assistant head coach Jason Kidd. When he was the head coach of Milwaukee was a 7th seed. If I can remember correctly, a 7th seed. But when he got fired, Giannis won MVP. The Bucks had the best record in the NBA. We're the number 1 seed. And there's some questions right there. Do these coaches make a huge difference? And I will be honest with you, for the Lakers, they're one of the most pressured teams right now in the NBA. The reason why I say that, because think about it. Anthony Davis, if you don't win it with him, I think he would leave. Now, there's been rumors that he will test free agency and will like the test with like teams like the Bulls or maybe the Nets. And personally, if we do remember correctly, of the teams he was suggesting, if he had to get traded to, the Lakers were one, the Clippers were another, the Knicks, the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Brooklyn Nets. So to me, if the Lakers don't win this season, I think Anthony Davis would leave the Lakers to join Kevin Durant, Kyrie, and DeAndre Jordan in Brooklyn. I think that's a possibility. Because how long does LeBron have? To me, he's got a year or 2 left. So if there's a time for the Lakers for blowing it up and getting that star to come over, you got to win it now. It has to be now, or else he's gone. Number 4 seed, the Portland Trail Blazers. Now, I know many of you are going to call me biased, but hear me out. 5 of the last 6 years, the Blazers have been a top 5 seed. 5 seed. Another 5 seed, huh? Okay. Keep going. Actually, yeah. And then somehow an 8 seed when they were supposed to be better. The back-to-back years of being a 3 seed. I probably said that wrong, but I don't care. Do I look like I care? I don't care. The team is still also hard to count out of the playoffs, especially the duo of Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. And with the offseason, they did. They added Kent Bazemore, getting rid of Evan Turner. Thank you, still. Then adding Hassan Whiteside by trading Maurice Harkless and Myers Leonard. Thank you, still. And then letting go of Al Farouk Aminu. Thank you, still. 3 annoying players that are gone for me. The Blazers gave me a gift, and I love that gift. But still, though, the Blazers, what they did this offseason, I thought was decent. Even extended Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. And then, to me, I'm not going to say they're going to win get it there that far now. But we'll see what happens. And then adding, Hassan Whiteside when Tel New York comes back was good. Even though the additions of losing, Seth Curry and Enes Kanter are difficult. But they also did add Mario Hezonja, who I thought was decent. Adding Gasol also with the experience he has, to me that at least gives the team some help, even though it's not like Kevin Love or anything like that. Now, if this was Pau Gasol in his prime, the Blazers would be scary. But this is not, though. And do I think the Blazers will make a trade to get someone like Kevin Love or Aldridge or Blake Griffin? I would have said that's realistic if they would have kept Enes Kanter. So personally, to me, I would not be surprised if the Blazers just keep their roster the same. I really wouldn't be surprised. Now, number 5 seed, I have the Houston Rockets. I don't think this Westbrook and Harden thing will work out as well as many people think it will. I think this team with just Westbrook and Harden, even though they're MVPs, how do they work together? I don't know how this is going to work. I really don't. So 2 MVPs, one averages a triple-double, and the other one just keeps shooting. But then you also have to question, who do you want to shoot the ball last? And to me, I would take James Harden, better shooter. And that's another thing. Westbrook's on a team that shoots threes a lot. So really, you can question that. But we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm just not big on them. Number 6 seed, Golden State Warriors. Okay, yeah, booze already. Yeah, hear me out. Now, even though some doctors have suggested that Klay should stay out for 2 years, I do not expect Klay to listen to them that well. But how does this work? Klay does not, if it's true that Klay comes back, it's most likely will be after the All-Star break. So really, we need to think about how will this work? How will the Warriors be who they are? Also, I think it was ridiculous that Zion got over Klay and Draymond Green got over Klay. Okay. But the Warriors with Klay out, to me, it's just a devastating loss. Now, they do have D'Angelo Russell, and now they still have Draymond Green, which I'm surprised they gave an extension to. But I feel I don't expect D'Angelo Russell to be like Klay. No player can be like Klay Thompson. And I would not be surprised if the Warriors defense does not play the same. Because to me, Klay is a good addition. And losing guys like Durant and Cousins, I mean, some people say it's the end of the Warriors dynasty. We'll see. I mean, personally, I would not be surprised if we see Curry get double guarded twice, more than ever. Or we have to put Curry on guys like James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Kemba Walker, Kyrie Irving, Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, Jimmy Butler. I mentioned those teams because to me those will be guys that Curry will have to deal with defensively. Even though some people say he's an underrated defender, I don't know. But really, the Warriors, because of Klay getting hurt, will be a 6 seed, and I would not be surprised once he comes back, that's how they end up being. Because to me, I think they will end up being the 6 seed and will play the Lakers. Number 7. Oh, God, another team. This is like everything's so difficult. I think the Utah Jazz. Even though we like the Jazz are talented, there's some questions I have with Utah. Mike Conley, can he stay healthy? When was the last time you could say Mike Conley had a great healthy season? I can't remember the last time. I really can't. His health has been the problem. Staying healthy has been a problem for him for several years. Even though he's on a team that he can win with. But overall, I just can't rely on being healthy. And then Bogdanovic. Even though he got the highest paid contract he's got right now and had a great season, the guy is like in his 30s and he doesn't play that much defense. So, there's some questions right there. Some big questions that we must know. What do they plan to do? Right there. And then the number 8 seed. The 8 seed, oh God, this is like everything is so difficult. This is where actually the 8 seed to me comes so hard to predict. I go with Dallas because they're young and talented. I can go with New Orleans, a bright future. Sacramento Kings, even though they didn't make the playoffs, they were still a good team. But I got the San Antonio Spurs. I know many people would want to see like Dallas, Kings, New Orleans in there. But why the Spurs, in my opinion? One man, Greg Popovich. The Spurs have not missed the playoffs in 22 years? Or something like that. I don't know. It's been so long since the Spurs have missed the playoffs. Even though when we don't like the Spurs, we cannot deny the fact that Pop has done a fantastic job at the organization over these years. Even though they're the era of Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, Kawhi, those guys are gone, and one of them's still playing. The Spurs still have Pop, and he is the reason why they almost made the second round in the playoffs and would have played against the Blazers. They almost made it, even though I still question why the heck did that guy not foul. But still, counting off Popovich is a difficult choice. And to me, the Spurs are the 8th seed. So how does this all work out? Let's start with the East. In the Eastern Conference, Milwaukee versus Detroit. Whoopie-doo. Milwaukee, to me, would win in 4. Philadelphia versus Toronto. The 76ers, to me, get the revenge, and they will win in 6. Celtics versus Magic. I think the Celtics will win in 5. Celtics, to me, win in 5. Then the Pacers versus the Brooklyn Nets. I would have to take the Indiana Pacers in 7. And to me, that will probably be the best series in the East in the first round. Then for the West, the first round. So many complications right about here. The Clippers versus the Spurs, an organization that still has had difficulties. They haven't gotten past the first round in years now. But the Spurs do not have that much talent compared to the Clippers. And I can imagine the fan base of the Spurs going crazy and booing Kawhi more than ever. And to me, the Clippers will win. And I personally think it's 7. 7 Clippers. Denver versus Utah. I think either these teams can win this series. I think Utah could put an upset, but I'm going with Denver because of the home court advantage. Denver, to me, wins in 7. Oh, man. Lakers versus Warriors. The team that knows how to beat LeBron. But LeBron has never lost in the first round. But he is in a competition where this is the West, and there's so much competition. Really, I look at if that becomes the matchup, I would look at it like thinking, okay, it's Clay. And Clay will be back, and with the D'Angelo Russell, the way he did to the Lakers last season, it would be, to me, in the revenge I don't think we have to focus on LeBron. To me, it would have to be focused on D'Angelo Russell because it is the team that traded him away. And if I had to pick anybody in this series, I would think the Golden State Warriors would beat the Lakers in the first round. Golden State, to me, would win in 6. Blazers versus Rockets. You know, the Rockets and Russell Westbrook all have something in common. Especially James Harden as well. They let Damian Lillard take the last shot and win. In this series, I would think the Portland Trail Blazers will win this series in 7. I think this series would go in 7. I think that with the matchup of what James Harden and Westbrook are, and I mean, they're talented and future Hall of Famers, but when the playoff time comes, that's where disappointments come. And that's another thing. If Westbrook loses in the first round again, that's just embarrassing. But to me, the Blazers would win in 7. So, second round, Milwaukee versus Indiana. To me, I don't think the Pacers would have that much defense to stop Giannis, and I think the Milwaukee Bucks would win in 5. Then we have Philly versus Boston, the old rivalry. And personally, as much as I think the Boston Celtics will be an offensive juggernaut, I think the Sixers defense is legit. It's going to be legit this year. I will pick the Philadelphia 76ers in 7. I think this series will go in 7. Clippers versus Blazers. Blazers win. No, I can't be biased. I really can't be biased. As much as I love my Portland Trail Blazers, they have no. Even though Paul George did lose to the Blazers, this Paul George will have Kawhi. The Clippers, like I said, look the most completed team in the NBA. The Clippers, in my opinion, would win in 5 or 4 over the Blazers. Then we have Warriors versus Nuggets, and personally, to me, I would be excited to see that matchup, and I think it would be a matchup in the best matchup in the second round. And I think the Denver Nuggets, because of the home court advantage, yes, who has the better experience is true. That the Warriors do have the better experience, but I think Denver overall is more talented right now because there is no Cousins and there's no Durant. To me, I think Denver would win in 6. In the Western Conference Finals and the Eastern Conference Finals, Eastern Conference would be Milwaukee versus Philadelphia. Western Conference would be LA Clippers versus Denver Nuggets. So, who do I think is going to go? We'll start with the Eastern Conference. Now, this is the Sixers and the Milwaukee Bucks. Eastern Conference to me would be a very interesting matchup. I think it would be about Ben Simmons trying to be clutch. To me, that would be the talk. Can Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid carry the 76ers finally to the finals for the first time since 2002 or 2001? It's been that long when they had Allen Iverson. Can they finally do it? I think Milwaukee, to me, would win in 5. Because I don't think Philly has enough answers for Giannis. And then the Nuggets versus the Clippers. Now, in this, as much as you can give the Nuggets so much credit and so much props because of the talent that you have right now, I think the Clippers, if this becomes the matchup, I think the Clippers will win in 5 because of what Kawhi is. So the finals to me will be Clippers versus Bucks. Now, who do I think is going to win it all? As much talent the Milwaukee Bucks have, the Clippers, like I said before, are to me the most complete team. And the Los Angeles Clippers, to me, will win the NBA Finals in 6 games. Kawhi gets another championship, and he will be known as the best player in the world, because to me he is. And I would not be surprised if his contract's out, he stays with the Clippers. And to me, he'll win also MVP. But to me, like I said before, the Clippers, to me, the most complete team. They have a bench, they have a GM, they have a coach, they have the players, they have the defense, and they got some pretty good offensive weapons and clutch time performance players. So who do you guys think is going to the NBA Finals? How do you put who in what seed? Leave a comment down below. Hit the like button, share it with your friends. Subscribe to more videos like this one. This is TGTV Tank Mode. Signing off.